Welcome, welcome, welcome to On Friday Inspire. I am your host, Aaliyah, the Purpose Midwife. I want to thank y'all so much for joining us this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday evening. You could have been doing anything else and been anywhere else, but you chose to spend it with us. And for that, we are totally grateful. Y'all, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to hit that share button, whether you are on Facebook, you over in LinkedIn land. Y'all share this page as I'm thanking our sponsors. Okay, so hit that share button or tag somebody because we are celebrating Black History Month, but we're also still celebrating the gifting that God has given us. And I'm excited about tonight's guest because this is our first time on Friday Inspire. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much to Mom Biz Boss, multiple operational managers. If you are a mom, if you are a multiple operational manager, an entrepreneur, or an aspiring entrepreneur, you want to connect with these ladies, okay? Everybody has different types of businesses. They have all types of events, online events, meetups, and they have, I forgot how many states they're representing now, right? But they are based in um, based in Atlanta, Georgia, and just very very excited about partnering with them because I have been a part of Mom Biz Boss for many years now. But you want to check them out, Mom Biz B-I-Z Boss BOSS.org, mombizboss.org. Then y'all go check out Come Dance with Mina, Come Dance with Mina over on Facebook. Come Dance with Mina has so many. We have so much fun, y'all. We do line dance, we do Zumba, and it's on Mondays and Thursdays. We've been doing a lot of virtuals because of weather and schedules. But check her out on Come Dance with Mina. And again, she does Mondays and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. And then finally, if you don't have any about my books, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you can get a copy of any of my books at onfiretoinspire.com or on the link tree that I'm going to share with you. You have my On Fire to Inspire book that came out, oh Lord, about almost 12 years ago, coming up in May. It'll be a 12-year anniversary. We have the children's book that came out, y'all. My baby's about to be 24. Okay. So that book is about, let me see, 21 years old. Wow. And we have my affirmations journal, affirmations coloring book, and 2 ebooks. We have the 21-day mind detox and prayers, affirmations, and declarations. So y'all, if you don't have it, hey, jump on in and purchase that. But we are not going to stay right here. We're going to get started on our interview. I'm excited. So y'all do me a favor again, hit that share button, comment, share with your friends because we are about to go in. All right. So here we go. Without further ado, we're going to bring on Dr. Tammy Meredith. Welcome. Wait, here we go. Welcome on Friday Inspire. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you so much. And you know what? I'm what do you call it? A delayed reaction. Welcome.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll take it.
Delayed reaction. But welcome to the broadcast.
Thank
Tell
you.
us, I want you to introduce yourself. I don't like reading bios. People feel everything we feel. So tell
Okay.
us about who you are. What do you do? Tell us about you. Yes, sir.
Ooh, okay. I am, of course, I'm a pastor here in Conyers, Georgia, with my husband, and we've been in ministry for 23 years this year. In mainly in the Conyers area. So we have a church called Life Abundantly Church. And it's been just growing in the church. You know, and the church is just amazing. Just a love-filled, word-filled church. So I've been in ministry for 23 years. Also through that, right, God has birthed out so much. I am an entrepreneur. I have a content creator space, and I have a salon, a hair salon that I own. I don't do hair, but I own a hair salon. Okay.
Okay.
I don't do hair, okay. A lot of people get it confused. Okay. Do you? No, I don't do hair. But yeah. So anyway, and then also my husband and I, we own a university, New Life Christian University. We have, yeah, so it's an amazing university. It's online, all online. The classes are online, 36 degrees and courses and life coaching courses and business coaching courses and 36 degrees. So we're really excited about that. And I guess the thing that, I guess why I'm here and what I'm going to be speaking on speaks to, I have Spiritual Fitness Academy, where it's for women, where women are able to go through the academy and grow spiritually in every area of their life, making sure that the foundation is solid and growing from there. So it's called the Spiritual Fitness Academy, and other things, mentorship programs for women, and Naomi and Ruth mentorship for girls, and just other things like that. I am a wife of 27 years. It'll be 28 years this year in June. Yes, thank you. I have 5 children, two boys and 3 girls. I love just a loving family. I just love them to pieces. So yes.
Oh wow, I didn't realize I had 5.
Yeah, we have 5 kids. 5 kids.
I did not realize that. Wow. So you are a wife, a mother, you have your mentorship program, you're an author, you're a pastor. Whoo, I don't think I remember you had a salon too. So you're a serapreneur from the heart, baby.
Oh yes, we've had to release some things along the way because ministry took, and family come first. But
Right.
we,
That is exciting. It's exciting. So you've told us about who you are. So the topic itself, sitting where you bled. Tell us, what does that topic mean to you? Because that's one of the questions I ask every person. What does that topic mean to you?
sitting where you bled simply means um, people go through pain, something painful in their life, and instead of healing and moving forward, what happens? They build, a seat, and they sit right there. I call it a bench. I have a book that I wrote called "Sis Get Off the Bench," and that came from my life story. Okay, sitting on the bench. All right, sitting on the bench of pain is one of my chapters, because I too sat on the bench for many, many years. It's bleeding because I believe that bleeding is human. I know that we are going to bleed. We're all going to go through painful experiences in life. Um, but staying there is an option, right? It's optional. So that's what it means to me, and just knowing when you've made pain a residence. You got to know when you made pain a residence. You make pain a residence when it starts shaping your identity, instead of, it's shaping your identity, and that becomes who you are when you meet people. I am, a divorcee, I am this, I am that, so that place of pain, you literally bring it into every space you walk into. You're telling a story, you're telling what this person did, so it begins to be your identity, and it strips you of your true identity. So that's when you know that you're literally sitting where you bled, okay, where you bled out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this what was your what led you to do, was it the book itself, or was it what led you to write the book?
Okay, so I just realized after many, many years, just true story. My son, my oldest son, who is now 34, but when he was a child, okay, when he was in middle school, my husband and I were taking him to school, and we were driving him to school, and I had my other 2 kids in the car with him, and he was crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? And he said, what's wrong with you? And I looked at my husband. My husband was driving. They were all in the back seat, and my husband, I said, why are you crying? And I looked at him. I said, what'd you do to him before we left home? What'd you say to him? Why? And he just stopped. He said, it's not him. He said, it's you. I'm like, what did I do? He said, you're screaming, you're this, you're just screaming, wake up, get dressed. He said, oh my God, you're always. Now, this is a child who never said anything negative about me or to me, a child who never cried. And he was bawling, boohooing. You can tell it was a place of pain that came from a very deep place. And I looked around the car and I said, is that true? And everybody's looking straight, not looking at me, because I turned around and looked at my husband. Everybody said yes, each one of them. And I realized that I had a problem that I didn't know I had. I realized that I had pain, and I was bleeding out, on my family, and bringing pain and causing pain to them and their lives. And that was my wake up call. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize it. So you can be in it, And it can be affecting you in a way where you carry it to different spaces and different people and relationships, but not even recognize it. So I thank God for my son that, because I didn't know, I wouldn't have known, And so from that point on, I've just made a point of, talking to women, about pain. And we can't sit there, because when we sit there, we become infected, and we infect everything around us, or every person, or every space around us, relationships and other things around us, and especially ourselves, most importantly. So yeah, so God helped me through that. That day I went home, I cried, I repented. I said, Lord, get this out of me, and it came from a childhood, you know, um, where I went through a whole lot. My father's mentally ill, so I went through a whole lot throughout my whole childhood, and and that anger and pain, a lot of that came from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. And it took a lot to do some self, even though your son was saying this, to do some self evaluations to say, you know what, they're right, instead of saying, it's not me, because you could have easily done that. So I commend you to say, hey, wait a minute. So, yes. So, how would a woman know, or a person, we're not just going to say a woman, how would a person know when pain is taking residence instead of being in their experience? How do
Well,
they do this?
when because when you you have to acknowledge it, right? I think you can you look around, and you look around your life, and you realize that you're not as productive, as you could be. You realize that peace is not there, that we talk about in the Word of God. That peace is not there, the peace that He gave us, peace that peace, it's not there. Where's my peace? Where's my joy? When you look around and everything is going right in your life, you realize it's internal. And a lot of times it's because, of something that you dealt with, and pain is truly one of those things, because I believe that pain is meant, to pass through. You say, well, what do you do with pain? Well, pain was never meant to live there, and you end up reliving, you end up reliving that place of pain, the trauma, that took place in your life. You end up, it becomes your lens and everything for new opportunities. One of the things that happened with me, my husband and I, we had to bury two children, and I realized, through that, because this was a bit prior to that, I realized, through that, that I was sitting, in that seat of pain, because I was afraid, to give birth. I felt like everything that I give birth to in this point in my life is dying. Right. So I was afraid to move forward. I was afraid to move forward in new opportunities, new relationships, because, it was just symbolized, me giving birth and my babies, my children dying. Right. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so you'll know it, you'll know it, you'll know it, because you speak about it, you relive it in your mind. It's okay to remember things, but you're actually living this thing, and you keep going. Remember the cassette player, when you hit way back in the day, okay, telling my age, okay, and it's okay to tell my age, okay, but the cassette player, you remember, you rewind it, or you can fast forward. Remember, you just put it in a little boom box and you rewind, and that's what we do in our mind. Our mind, we keep rewinding, we keep going back to the place of pain, and we refuse to just move on and fast forward. So we just stay right there and keep on going backwards. So it's telltale signs. There's a lot of signs, for you to know that you're sitting in that place. When you've made it a part of your life and your identity, you're sitting in that place. When I'm talking to you and I just met you, somewhere along the way in the conversation, I'm talking about, well, I lost my baby, or I lost this, or I lost that, and there's no room, we're not having a conversation about it, it's still there, and it's still in the forefront of our lives. So yeah, that's just some of the ways that you can tell that you are literally sitting in that place, of pain. You're still wounded.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like you can't meet a new person and not tell them about it. Everybody got to hear about your wound.
Yes, everyone's going to hear about it. We're going to talk about it today. Okay, we have time today to talk about my wound, because it's still there, because it's still fresh.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, how do you rise from that place of um, being wounded and stepping back into your purpose without, carrying that pain as a badge? into your new season?
Okay, that's a very, very, very good question. Um, One of the things you can do is you can acknowledge, I believe clarity. You acknowledge, right? You acknowledge the pain. You acknowledge that I'm in this place of like pain. You acknowledge that I'm wounded and I'm sitting here. I have not moved forward in my life, in different areas. I'm still sitting here. So you acknowledge, it's clear. You bring clarity to it by acknowledging it, and once you acknowledge it, then you take ownership of it. Okay, taking ownership of it. And I'll explain that to you. Taking ownership of it. And after you take ownership of it, what I had to do, I had to move. I had to move. You have to move away from it. You can't just sit there. You got to move away from it. So clarity simply means understanding what happened in your life. What happened to me? What happened to me back then? And just really understanding what happened. Not just saying this happened, but really understanding what took place and what happened without letting it rewrite who you really are. Okay, without letting it rewrite, who God has intended you to be. When you own it, and then you go and you move forward and you begin to own that thing. And ownership means, taking responsibility for your healing. Okay, even if you weren't responsible, because a lot of people are not responsible for the hurt and the pain, but you have to own that, and you have to take responsibility for your healing. No one else can take responsibility for your healing. You have to take responsibility for your own healing. I had to take responsibility for all my healing and take responsibility, all my hurt and take responsibility, for my healing, and then you move. When you take ownership, I owned it. I said, okay, you know what? All right. I understood. I went and they did a lot of soul searching. I prayed, I fasted, because the worst thing I wanted to do is harm my family. I didn't realize how toxic I was. I didn't realize that. Everyone thought I was so sweet and kind and so loving, but I didn't realize, my family at my home really knew, because they were the ones receiving and being, receiving this
Toxicity.
and that anger, and I just feel like I was the words, I could cut them. I didn't realize I was even cutting them with my words. I'm moving on the next day, but they're still cut and bleeding, from something I've said, or that came from a place of, from this pain, a place of anger or resentment, or whatever, from the pain, not towards them. So I was really, what I realized what was happening, I was making them pay for things that happened to me in my life. They were paying for what took place, what other people did, and other things, other people did in my life. They were paying for that, right? They were the ones that had to pay for what they did. And I'm like, Lord, that is not right. And I took ownership of it, and I said, Lord, I'm still hurt. And I didn't even realize it, because sometimes, it can just, you suppress it, and you don't know why you feel the way you feel. You don't know why at moments you get angry. You don't know why you know what I'm saying? And so it was, but I realized all of it came from a wounded heart, a wounded heart, and pain. And I had to own it and say, God, this is who I am. I thought I was this person. And when you look in the mirror and really see, who you really are,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta take ownership, to heal. You gotta take ownership of healing. Lord, I want to heal. I want to be free, and I want everyone around me free. Okay. And I don't want them affected by me.
Yes. And I love how you said that. Because it's impossible to heal from what you won't confront.
Yes.
You said I confront that this is what's going on. God, I give this to you. So whew, that's powerful.
Yeah.
What would you say to the person who's listening to us that says, but Dr. Tammy, but Lee, y'all don't understand what I went through? What would you say to that person?
And I too, I get it. Trust me, I get it. Um, I would say to that person, I may not understand, what you've gone through. You know, I could never understand what you've gone through. Only what you've gone through, but do you really want to stay there? Do you really want to live your life out? Do you really want your purpose to be robbed by pain? Do you really want, what I'm saying, your destiny to be robbed by pain? Because that's what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, do you want your peace, your joy robbed by pain? Do you want relationships, robbed by pain? Do you want opportunities robbed by pain? So it's up to you. It's up to you. If you want it, then you stay there. But if you say, you know what, I'm not going to let what happened to me, not gonna let what they did or what happened to me. I'm not gonna let what the loss and the loss of people that betrayed me, the people that left me too early, the people that were not there in my life, these mother wounds, these father wounds. I'm not going to allow them to continue to run my life. I'm not going to allow them to continue to dictate my future, my purpose, and my destiny. You got to make that decision. Like, wait a minute, it happened to me, but I'm not going to sit here any longer. I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk my way out of this. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not hurt, because guess what? I am hurt. And you hurt me, they hurt me, or that hurt me. Sometimes it's not people. Sometimes it's just situations. Like when my child died, I realized I was even angry with God. I didn't even realize it until God said, you even angry with me. Because of, me allowing them and bringing them home, you're angry with me. So I would tell that person, it's up to you. What do you want? The worst thing to do is to live your life. Tell people this all the time, because I've seen people do this. I've seen them do this, live to be 80 years old, 90 years old, some people, 70 years old, whatever age you want to give it. It's horrible to live your life and be at that moment where God is getting ready to take you out. You're on your deathbed and you realize that I'm leaving out of here with a wounded heart. I'm leaving out still in pain. I'm leaving out not just a wounded heart and being in pain, but all of these years, I could have walked my way out of it, and I could have received the healing that the Lord has for me. I could have received my healing. My heart could have been complete. But instead of having a broken heart and all of these years on this earth, to realize that I'm getting ready to leave out of here still with a broken heart. Something happened to me when I was 10 years old or 20 years old. And I'm still have a broken heart and I'm still wounded. When I realized that healing was possible, and healing was available, but I chose to sit in this place of pain. That's a horrible thing to look at when you realize, oh my God, you leave out of here with a wounded heart, broken heart. It's that's not the way to live life. That's not the life that He promised us. Jesus said, I come that you may have life and have life more abundantly. That's not abundance of life. That's why He gave us, and He said, I'm giving you like a Jehovah Rapha. Healing is available to you. I can heal you if you allow me to go in and heal you, and if you take the proper steps to be healed. If you understand, yes, that place of pain, you understand the trauma. Let's take this thing apart and let's work our way through it. And let's move through it and not just stay there. And let's own our healing, and let's make movement and refuse to stay emotionally parked in this place, where we've been cut. So it's up to you. It depends on what you want. Depends on what you see, what you see for yourself. That you want the best that God has for you. That you want everything that He brought to you. He said you can have life more abundantly. And I realize I'm not living in the abundance in which He came for. That's a problem. That's a problem. So yeah. So it just depends, on what you want. Healing requires courage. It really does. It takes courage to go through the process to be healed. It does, because that's saying I'm releasing this. I've been carrying this weight, I'm releasing it. I no longer want to be attached to it, it to become familiar to me in my life. And what happens, honestly, if I've been hurt and pain, that thing is familiar. So it's gonna connect to me. It's gonna attach itself to me because I'm sitting there. Does that make sense? It's literally gonna find me. And I'm gonna receive it because it's familiar. That feeling is familiar. That hurt is familiar. That, you see what I'm saying? And so it's really, 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 you got to reposition yourself. You have to reposition yourself. You have to process it. You have to release it, and you have to reposition yourself.
I love it. And you actually answered a question that I was about to ask you with that last statement.
Okay.
My question which was answered by the last statement was, what about that person that is compromising? That I'm still in it because it's familiar. I'm still in it because there's comfort and complacency in the toxicity. I'm comfortable in that space of, I don't want the unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you got to process it, you just said.
Yeah.
You got to release it and you got to reposition yourself. So that answered that. But do you have anything to add to that person who's compromising? Because when I tell you, I felt that like a ton of bricks.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone that's listening, whether they're going to listen to the replay, whether they're listening live, because they're listening on YouTube
Okay.
and Facebook. And so for the person who's listening and they're saying, but I'm in this
Yeah.
and I'm compromising my standards, what would you say to that person who they're feeling it, but they're revisiting it every day because they're still in it?
Yeah. Well, I just say to you, whoever you are, I've been there, done that, first of all, so I can speak about it. Okay? I can speak about it. I say rise. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, speak to yourself and tell yourself to rise. Can't nobody tell you to rise. You got to tell yourself because your words have power of life and death. And you got to speak to yourself and say, rise. And what rising looks like, rising means realizing I can't lead from an open wound. You're trying to lead families, lead this, lead that, and you cannot lead from an open wound. Okay. You know, you can't build, you can't pour. Listen, you can't teach. We try to teach, we're building, we're pouring, we're trying to empower others. You can't do that from an open wound. You can't. You can, but it's not going to be impactful and it's not going to be effective because you're not giving them the version of being healed. Okay. You're still bleeding internally. Okay. People don't see the bleeding, but it's internally. And you're bleeding internally. And that's the worst type of bleeding. Now, one time I was bleeding internally, and they told my mama she's going to die. She's not going to make it. She's bleeding internally. Bleeding internally. Don't nobody see it. You don't even see it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're bleeding internally, and that can bring death. And I'm not talking about death physically, but I'm talking about death to your life, death to your purpose, death to your calling, death to your assignment, death to your relationships. So healing has to be necessary. And that's how it was with me. It became necessary. Healing became necessary in my life. It wasn't an option any longer. It's necessary because I'm ready to rise and I'm tired of sitting here dealing with the same stuff. Now that I realize that I've been bleeding internally, what happens now is coming out, and it's spewing out, and not just for me, but for the people who are connected to my purpose. Because there are many people that's connected to your purpose. I don't care who you are. You don't have to be a pastor. You don't have to have no title, but there are people that God has already assigned to you and he's connected to your purpose. And healing, you can't, if it's not for you, then it's for everything that's connected to you. Okay. So that's a decision you have to make. You don't have to rise. You don't have to pretend that you're not hurt. Yes, I'm hurt, but you take ownership of that thing and you rise. You rise. You can revisit the memory without living in it. Just don't live in it. You want to revisit, but say, okay, I got to come up. I got to get out of here. I've been here too long. I've been 2 minutes too long. I can't stay here. You understand what I'm saying? So you can revisit, and the scar can remind you, of what you survived, because we all have survived, but it can't dictate where you sit. So even though you're wearing a scar, even though there's a scar, it reminds you, it's a reminder. I have a scar that reminds me when I had a cesarean. When they took the ones that passed, they had to take them through. I had to have a cesarean. Every day that scar is there. Every day I take a shower, it reminds me of that trauma, that pain, but I survived. I'm a survivor of the pain and the trauma. I'm a survivor, and it didn't dictate, where I sat, because I chose to get up and I chose to rise. I chose to get off the bench and I chose to rise so that I can be complete in my calling, complete in my purpose, complete in what God has created and how he's created me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can definitely relate to the
Mm-hmm.
statement of being so what you thought was a sweet person,
Mm-hmm.
being bitter, and start seeing yourself as that bitter person. And I remember saying, God, I don't want to be bitter. I want to be better. And so life can take you to some places and take you through some things, but you can make a choice that you want to do better, because I knew that there was more for me, and I knew that I was called to women. And I can't lead you from being unhealed and wounded and bleeding. I'm going to bleed onto you, and that's not going to help you.
Amen.
you know? And so, yeah, I can relate to that, personally relate to it. And
Mm.
saying, you know what, God, I want to be better, not bitter. But I had to also say this, Dr. Tam. I said, God, heal me from the inside out. Heal me. Heal every wounded place that I know of and that I don't know of.
Mm.
And so that's what we're saying to you right now. Whether you're a woman listening live, you're a woman listening, or a man listening, you got to get healed. There's somebody, as Dr. Sammy said, that's waiting on you. You may not be a pastor, you may not be called to ministry, but guess what? Your life is ministering to somebody.
Yes.
You got to choose to live. And that living means that there's no longer existing, there's no longer living in that place of pain. Because really, Dr. Tammy, living in that place of pain is just like allowing cancer to just take over your life.
Absolutely.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my God. Woo! Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna stay in the earthly realm, Dr. Tammy.
Okay, because yeah, we can go there. I'm like, don't do it, don't do it, Aaliyah, because we can listen.
Woo!
You go,
I'm trying to stay in English.
yeah, let's stay
No.
here because we don't have time tonight. Mm, 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 mm.
Oh my goodness. My goodness, my goodness. So, whew, how can the people get the book that you're speaking of? Because it's definitely something that some people are definitely needing to read, they need to hear, they need to revisit. How can they get a copy of that book?
Okay, so they will have to. Let me just send my email. Put my email on here. Okay.
Okay,
um, Put my email on here. Speak on it with Lady T
hold
at
on.
Gmail. I know that's a lot. I'm sorry. Yes, speak on it with Lady T at Yahoo. Excuse me, gmail.com. And they can just email me, and I'll send them the link. I'm transferring things over. We have a new system that we're using on Vonza. So a lot of my things are being transferred. I'm in the process of transferring everything over there. All of my sites, everything are being transferred to that space. So yes, speak on it with Lady T at gmail.com. And here's the book too. This is a copy of the book. Sis, get off the bench. It's the name of it. Sis, get off the bench. It's time to get in the game.
I love it. I love it. Y'all heard this tonight. For any of you, do you have any questions for her? You can type it into the thing. Speak on it, Lady T, just the letter T at gmail.com.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Got it. Got it.
Speak on it with Lady T at gmail.com.
With Lady T. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, it's so long.
It's okay.
I got the email so long ago. I was doing I had started going on YouTube and started a YouTube channel, Speak on it with Lady T. But again, all my other emails and everything in my site is in the process of being moved over.
Got it. Got it. Well, we thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and share with us tonight. We are so grateful for you. We're grateful for your gifts and all of you actually being healed to be able to operate fully and functionally in all of your gifts. Because you can tell the difference in a person of when you haven't seen them, because we haven't seen each other at least 12 years,
Yes.
at least 12.
Mm-hmm.
So we both look different.
We do.
We look different.
We do.
There's life in us again, because I know when you saw me, there's not a life, not a lot of life in me. But I'm so grateful to God for the healing that took place because I allowed Him to do it. So thank you again for sharing. Thank you so much for coming by. Y'all get off the bench and speak on it with Lady T at gmail.com. Order your copy. I did put it in the comments. Thank you, Danita. Danita said, "What a word." Thank you,
Thank you.
Deaconess. And so we thank you so much. We look forward to hearing more things. Also, last thing, tell us the name of your university again.
It's New Life Christian University.
New
Mm-hmm.
Life Christian
Uh-huh.
University.
New Life Christian University.com is the email, excuse me, the website.
Okay.
New Life Christian University. Our university, like I said, it has 36 degrees, bachelor's, master's, doctorates. Our pricing is very reasonable, so you don't have to take out a loan. Our degrees are from 4,000 to 7,500. Okay, and we even have dual. Yeah, and it's so many. Like I said, you just go and peruse the different degrees. You know, it's really just a blessing. And again, we have courses as well. We have one course that's counseling course, and then another one that's business and life coaching course together. This one course, so it's really, really, really a blessing. And you know, we have people enrolled, and it's just really, it's been blessing people. You know, and I know it will continue to. So please go look at it, look it up. We're actually in a process, and you can start. It's no enrollment is anytime you're ready because it's online. Okay, it's fully online, so it works. I know people, you know, they say, "Oh my God, I'm so busy. I have this going on," because we have so much going on. But the wonderful thing about online courses, you do it at your pace. You know, you do it at your pace. So, yes,
You said it's 36 degrees.
yes it is. Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm typing all this stuff in. I'm a scribe from the heart.
Okay, yes, it's 36 degrees. And then we also have an honorary doctorate program as well. That's a part of it as well. We're having our commencement on this Saturday where we are literally conferring and honoring 25 people through our honorary doctorate program. What a blessing. People who have been spent years working, giving, making an impact, even through their season of not being healed, they were still giving,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, so we're really excited about that. So, yes, please
That
look
is
it up.
so very exciting. So
Thank you.
exciting. Well,
Thank
congratulations again to you and your husband,
you.
and to you and your family. And I look forward to hearing some more about some other things that will definitely be coming down the pipeline.
Amen. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I'm so blessed to be on here. I've never been on your, you know, and it's amazing because we've known each other for so long. So I'm so honored and I'm so blessed to finally be here sitting with you. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on your platform. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
You too. All right. Good night.
If y'all missed any of her interview, you want to go back and catch the replay. Y'all share this with a sister. Share this with your brother. I know it was geared to sis get off the bench, but guess what? If you need this word, guess what? You got to know how to get this word for you. I don't care who you are. So if this word was speaking to you, get your word, get your healing. It's time to walk in everything. Go for everything God got for you, okay? Because tomorrow's not promised. So it's time to walk in your healing. It's time to do all the things that God has called you to. Too many people waiting in line for you to get to reposition yourself to do what you're called to do, right? So we will be back same time, same place next week, right here on Fire to Inspire. I'm a little purpose midwife. We will have a guest next week. Her name is Jacqueline Corley, and she is an entrepreneur. She is an AI specialist, an author, a coach, and something else. But we will have her as our special guest next week. So y'all check on back in next week, same time, same place. I'm a little purpose midwife. I love you all and have an awesome, magnificent week. Blessings to you.